You are listening to the BlahCade podcast. I am your host, Shut Your Trap, a.k.a. Chris Freebus. He is Jared Morgs.
G'day.
I did something I've never done before, and that's address the camera. So not that it plays to you listening in audio land, but if you happen to watch this podcast on YouTube, then that was just for you. Yes. So yeah. we skipped a week here.
Yeah, we did. Because, we had things. We had life.
We had life, and also then we had anti-pinball life, or at least I had anti-pinball life, where I just hadn't played anything. I hadn't gone on the forum. I had nothing to talk about, literally. And we know how much Jared hates me talking about movies and stuff. So,
yeah. So we decided, you know what? Let's not do one this week. Let's just have a gap week, and we'll come back fresh the week after. I had to go up to the North Coast and sort of stay with the in-laws for a night, which was really good. Had a great time up there, and it was very relaxing because they're sort of close to the coast, and it's just very relaxing up that way. So that was good to have a break.
Yeah, we're allowed to have those now and then, right?
Yeah, that's right. We I don't know what the BlahCade policy is on vacation time, but I think it's pretty flexible.
Yes, yeah. We have many
LLC.
We have flex days. So things did happen this week, however, which gives us things to talk about. But I'm before we get into those things, and they involve both Zen and Pinball Arcade, thought I might mention that I've had one of those work weeks where, although the hours weren't terribly hideous, the people organizing the work week were kind of oblivious. And what we in the film world, we have what's called magic hour. Now,
I know what the magic hour is. It's right, where the light is perfect. It's like sunrise and sunset, isn't it?
Sunrise and sunset. And basically, you have an hour where at least here in North America, at our particular longitude. So, it's when the sun is low on the horizon, it casts this really lovely natural glow upon your actors. And it is truly spectacular lighting. Everything looks amazing in this light. And so they call it magic hour. Now, what we in the film business also call it is tragic hour, because in that hour, they tend to want to pack 2 hours worth of work
into one. So you really have to clone yourself, really.
Right, and so there's a lot of panicky running around with your heads cut off, and it's rush, and safety goes right out the window, and typically they didn't plan very well in terms of they work right up until magic hour, and then they go, oh, hey, we got to set up our magic hour shots, rather than having us had them set up and waiting for magic hour, because time is money in film world.
Exactly.
We like to, normally it's hurry up and wait, unless it's magic hour, and then it's hurry up and why aren't we already shooting?
Yes, that's right. So I remember there was one movie that I remember that did a whole car sequence. There was like a really elaborate car sequence all in magic hour, and it took them a couple of months to actually do that scene.
Jupiter Ascending just did that in Chicago. Well, I shouldn't say just, but for that movie, they did that very thing where they were flying the people like they were on a hoverboard kind of skate things, and they had 6 minutes of usable light every day. For what they were trying to achieve. Yes, because they were looking for a particular glow, not just any glow, but it was a particular glow and glint, and they had to keep that consistent. And they did that for months, just shooting a little sequence bit by bit by bit. And if you've seen the movie, you go, what a waste.
Wow, okay.
Because it looks like it's nothing but green screen to me, so it was just kind of like, well, you know what? You did a really bad job of selling all that time that you spent doing it. So anyway, on the show I'm on, we have kids, 7 of them to be exact. Now, when you're shooting with kids, you only get them for a limited period of time. They have to spend so many hours in school, and then there is only so many hours that they are, even by law, allowed to work.
Yes. And they have to have mandatory breaks and stuff, right?
Mandatory breaks, yep. Yep, and so it's this whole juggling of the cast and making sure that you get max, because we're not only going to work an 8-hour day, we're going to work a 12-hour day. So it's how you parcel them out. Well, the particular episode that we're working on, unfortunately, most of the kids were all together at the same time.
Oh, that's good.
No, it's bad because that meant we only had a limited amount of time with all of them, and it's really hard to get that much coverage on every single one of them.
Also, all of their sort of time entitlements don't line up, so they're all there. They may sort of have done some school, but not enough school, or they may not have had quite enough break. Oh man!
Right. So what it's amounted to is, though, every single day, even when we're on stage, not shooting outdoors, although this particular episode we've been primarily outdoors, resulted at about 5 p.m. every day us having tragic hour, because when kids have to go off the clock. We call it. We say that the kids are about to pumpkin. So
about to pumpkin.
Yes, just like Cinderella, her carriage is going to go poof, and
I love that. That's nice.
And there is no. Well, we'll pay them extra, and they can. No, it's absolutely bye bye. They're gone.
No,
they get.
It's like breaching the rules of the Humane Society. Like it's like the Humane Society for kids.
Right. So we have literally every single day for the past 2 weeks had tragic hour, and it's not fun knowing that it's coming and knowing that you're about to run around with your head cut off. And thankfully, this episode is now completed, and our next episode is a more standard way of how they're shooting it, which is just us on stage with limited amount of kids at any one time. So it should be much more sane. I'm looking forward to that. But to say the least, I was pretty much coming home, eating, maybe watching a half an hour of a TV show, and then if I was lucky, being able to stay awake long enough to walk to bed. Otherwise, I was falling asleep on the couch and then waking up later and then going to bed. So yeah, really that's why. Yeah, that's why Pinball was kind of taking a back seat, which is, going from playing it a whole bunch to all of a sudden having to quit cold turkey.
It's hard.
It's hard. You're like, I don't want to play.
I was jonesing for a bit of zen.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what's kind of leading us into this week. So both Zen and Pinball Arcade have tables that are about this coming week to be released. And those of us with beta access have been able to sample said tables. So we're going to give you a first look of Doctor Who from Farsight and of the Marvel's Women of Power tables from Zen, which is A-Force and Champions. And just kind of give you a little preview of what you may or may not...
A narrative preview.
Yes. This is definitely not a review because I haven't had time to review them properly.
No.
To be honest, I kind of feel that I can't review a table properly until I've spent probably an hour with it.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get a feel for it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to sort of get a bit of a brunt on it and get comfortable with it before you make a call on it. I agree.
Yeah. Before with that, though, I was kind of checking some stats, and I wanted to just kind of notice this. So on Steam, they tell you how many hours you've played any particular game.
Okay.
Turns out with Zen, I've played a little over 130 hours. It's like 136 hours or so.
Okay.
With TPA, I've played 594 hours.
Wow. Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's about 24, 25 days worth of playing in a 24-hour period.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a fair amount. And I wonder why none of my other games have much play.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that's fairly good hours. And I have no idea how long I would have been spending on TPA Android, but I'd say it's probably pretty ridiculous when you add it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't have those sort of stats. And again, circling back to the Farsight ID discussion we had a few episodes ago, that sort of statistical stuff would be kind of good to collect.
It would be fun to see, yes. I would love to know what table I play the most. I know in my head what table I think I play the most, but reality might be completely different.
Yep, sounds about right. Yeah.
So why don't we start off with the table that I've had the least experience with, and you have been able to play quite a bit more, and that's Doctor Who from Farsight.
Yeah, so we finally got it. And have a look at this. It's actually landed at the time they said it would as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. That's what happens when you have a long ramp up for a game. You can actually spend the time you need on it to actually get it out to a quality level. And I have to say, it's looking pretty good on mobile. This is the first table that they've decided to try out PC assets on. And you can tell because... those of you familiar with Doctor Who will know that the ball pops out of the TARDIS on the right-hand side of the table, and there's a habit rail there that feeds the right return lane. Well, on past tables, the roundness of those, the rings that connect the habit rail together, they've looked okay, but geez, on the mobile version this time round, it's practically round. Like there's so many polys.
Oh, nice.
In the habit rail that you go, wow, like I can just see the angles on the rail, but that is, yeah, it looks amazing. And it's pretty much like that on all the other assets in the table too. Like it looks super crisp on Android, which is really nice because it's the table you want to actually have super crisp assets on. All the inserts are really nicely lit. Like there's none of that sort of weird flicker you get with the on-off states of the inserts. They're all nicely lit. They don't really bloom because we don't have any dynamic lighting, but they've got this nice warm feel to them when you're looking at them, and everything looks really presented quite well. The things that I've observed in it, though, like gameplay wise, it plays very faithfully. At the moment, they're doing a tuning pass on it in beta just to adjust the rake a little bit. It's a little bit floaty at the moment.
Yeah.
Because, if you've played it in real life, haven't you, mate?
I have played it in real life, but not enough for me to really form a solid memory of it.
You would know, though, that playing in real life is fast. Like, it's a fast table.
Yeah.
There's, especially when you're shooting the time expander and it comes back down at you from the mushroom targets, like that, it flies back down the table at you. And at the moment, it's a little bit too floaty, and I brought it up in the beta, and they said, yeah, we definitely agree it's floaty. We're going to do a bit of an extra tuning pass on it to make it a little bit faster.
What I noticed in probably my 3 or 4 playthroughs of it was the now I don't know what the pieces of the table are even called. But at the top, there's like a loop that goes from the left side that feeds into the bumpers.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the behind the time expander loop thing. Yeah.
That I've noticed seems now it's flat with the table. It's not a ramp, but it seems like as soon as the ball crosses a certain threshold, it ain't coming back at you. It's gonna make it all the way around, and it kind of vacuums to me.
Yeah, it sort of behaves like
sense.
That. Well, it kind of behaves like that in the real table. The reason why is because it's a very slight pitch at the back of that ramp. So on a good shot, like even if you glance off the repair targets, which is that bank of targets on the left-hand side, even if you glance off there and shoot and then go for the little, what would I call it? The pop bumper in lane. Let's call it that.
Okay.
The pop bumper in lane, it's normally really fast. It whips around there real fast, and it doesn't generally come back out again because it's just flat behind there. So that's behaving. I haven't seen anything unusual with that, but what I have seen that really is a problem across all tables in TPA is the way all the speed and momentum of a ball gets washed off when it hits stand-up targets. Have you noticed that? Slow shots to things like, in particular, I noticed this on fishtails when I was playing it. It's when you shoot the fish targets. If you just glance one of those, if it's not a very strong shot and it just sort of glances a fish target, it slows the ball down. It's like it's got a magnet on it. And it's like it's sticky. So the ball stickies onto the target and then it completely washes all the speed off the targets. And then these repair targets, the reason why I noticed it the most on Doctor Who is normally what you do is that if you glance the top 2 repair targets when you're shooting the pop bumper in lane, it will just sort of ricochet off them and go at quite a lot of speed right behind that lane into the pop bumpers. Okay. But in the TPA version at the moment, if you glance one of those repair targets, it washes all the speed off and it just floats around the back there. And as soon as I saw it, I went, nope, that's wrong.
Maybe that's why it felt like a vacuum to me then.
Yeah. like it sort of like slowed down. You thought it was sort of like predictable pace around the back there.
Right.
Yeah, it might have been that illusion. Yeah, it's all the targets in the game. They have this physics element to them where it's like a dead zone sort of thing. There's two ways of doing it. I've noticed in what is it, Black Hole, that if you have a really slow shot to one of the drop targets and it contacts the drop targets, it shoots it off like it's a slingshot.
Yeah.
As well. So basically it's the inverse of that.
Okay.
I think what needs to happen is if you do hit a drop target, it should be behaving the way that the stand-up targets do. But if you hit a stand-up target, it should be ricocheting it away like it does with those drop targets in Black Hole at the moment. So I think it's almost like they need to flip the physics around on those two elements in the game.
Right. I was thinking that it's the drop targets, it's viewing them as almost a rubber.
Yeah, it is.
And then as opposed to the fact that it's physically pushing against an object and then that object is going away and the momentum of the ball is going to carry just a little bit farther in and then bounce away. Or even if the drop target hasn't dropped completely, the drop target typically has that give. Yeah. As you push it before it drops, that's going to make it slow down, obviously. Whereas, stand-up actually does have the bounce, the reflection.
It does, yeah. So you would expect a bit more speed off those. And I think that's what's happening here. Like, what they need to do is take a look at those two elements across all tables and just take a look at the physics on them and see exactly what's happening there, because it's something that's become really apparent in this table, and I know it happens on other ones as well. So I have actually raised it in the beta for them to take a look. And I'll make sure they follow up on it, because it does make a big difference to how you take that shot and how it actually plays. So there's that. And I also found it's really hard to replicate, but I found that in some cases, from the left-hand flipper, the left-hand lower flipper, I should be specific about, I can actually sometimes glance it up into the hang-on ramp, which is the one that you shoot from the upper left flipper around. Okay. And you should not be able to make that ramp at all from the lower left flipper. It's just physically impossible on the real game. Whereas for some reason you can make it on occasion. I'd probably say 10 to 20% of the time on the actual game. It's sort of like if it ricochets and bounces a certain way of other playfield objects, you can glance it up the ramp and then the ramp just takes control and takes it up around. So I don't know what's going on there. It seems bizarre, but I can't really bug it because I can't replicate it consistently.
Yeah, that's a hard one to replicate.
Yeah, really hard. So it's very tricky. But
I've also noticed, and this is some of you are going to love this, some of you are going to hate this, but it's the return of the zipper flippers.
Oh yeah,
or not the zipper flippers, the lightning flippers.
Lightning flippers. Yep.
And it's meaning two things. One, that center gap is huge. It is. It's really wide. And the other thing is that the flippers in their relaxed state, or excuse me, not in their relaxed, in their the flipped state, it's a relatively shallow flip. So catching the ball is very difficult.
It is, yeah. You do a lot of shuttle passing in this game. And I've noticed too, this is a really interesting point for those people who like to know about physics. I found that in the first couple of iterations of the beta, when I was shooting the ball off the tips of the flippers, it was almost like the strength of the flipper was like incorrectly balanced. Like there wasn't, it seemed different when I was shooting it up towards the base of the flipper than at the tip. And it turns out that there's actually, this is a byproduct of the physics tuning of the flippers themselves. And I think it has something to do with what do they say? It's tip pass tuning. When they're actually playing around with that, what will often happen is they have to adjust forget the term. I'm bringing up Google Plus now because I have it in the community. I'll see if I can quickly find it and then we can edit it out and post.
What, you don't think this makes for a good podcast?
Yeah.
As we search, Jared searches for data. What mysteries will he find? Tune in soon. Tune in to the end of the podcast to find out.
That's right. No, I found it. So
Okay.
my report was flipper tuning appears spongy because the ball travels through the I said bay slightly. That was a mistake on my part. So I said this is a hard one to describe, but it feels like the ball is not contacting the flipper correctly on strokes towards the tip of the flipper, particularly on shuttle passes or tip passes. And then Rob confirms, yeah, the strength of the tips were lower than they should have been. It's been adjusted. It's usually the result of tuning for tip passing. So it's actually, you can adjust. This is the thing we learned from this, is that you can adjust the strength of the flipper along the whole path of the flipper bat. So each zone in the flipper can have a different strength, which is really interesting, right? Yeah.
Well, and it kind of makes sense because obviously physics will tell you that it's going to have a different strength, based on the pendulum of the flipper itself.
The point at which the leverage basically of the flipper is different. So yeah,
right, because of how much stroke how much travel it actually is having.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool to actually learn that was it, and that's why it was behaving the way it was. And yes, I did. I just wanted to make sure I did raise the issue about the repair target sapping the ball speed, and yes, I have. So that's in there too.
So for those of you wondering, turns out that Doctor Who Regenerated will be coming out next month, not this month. So
yes.
We still have that to look forward to. Obviously, Farsight has a little bit more work to do on that aspect. I would imagine that once they get this particular table tuned, that exact same tuning is going to carry over to that, unless they've added a whole bunch of different things to it.
Yeah. I mean, have they, like, one of the things I was wondering is that have they switched around the position of certain key playfield elements? Like, have they moved the time expander to be upper flipper shot only? You know what I mean? Like, they could have done that. So it could be a very different looking table. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see, and hopefully we'll be able to get Mike Lindsay from Farsight in to talk to us about all things Doctor Who Regenerated, because like we've mentioned before, we're very curious to know about the licensing, how that all happened, how working with the BBC was, and just what hoops did the monkeys at Farsight have to jump through?
That's right. I'm sure there's a few, but yeah, we'll be interesting to get the canonical account of it from Mike when he joins us.
Moving forward, Zen this week will also be releasing Marvel's Women of Power. So these are two tables. One of them is called A-Force, which features Black Widow and Madame Mask battling out an altered reality where Russia has taken over the U.S. and Stark Tower now has flying a giant red star. And the two of them working together to try and restore what should be instead of what is. And I guess the main bad guy of this is Titanium Man. I don't know these comics at all. So it's all a big mystery to me. I do know that Zen created, for both these tables, created unique storylines. So these aren't following comic books.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they
found
that.
That's really good though, right? So I follow Bobby on Twitter, and she was commenting that when they announced these tables, people were going, "Oh, well, I haven't heard of any of these. Why are you inventing new characters?" and stuff like that. And then Zen got accused of being feminists or something like that for releasing these tables.
That's the same batch of trolls that are pissed off at Ghostbusters being with women and Mad Max Fury Road essentially not being a Mad Max movie but being a Furiosa movie.
They just need to go back under the rock they crawled out of. Like what I responded back to Bobby said, yeah, I don't really care if I don't know the franchise because Pinball.
Right.
So yeah, let me play them and then I'll make my own choice up.
The other table is called Champions, and this features a whole host of characters, which some of the names I'm kind of going, huh? So it stars Ms. Marvel, and then the cadre of people is Squirrel Girl, Bombshell, Sister Grimm, Spider-Gwen, America Chavez, and Hawkeye. And I can't tell you the storyline of this one.
No, it's a unique one.
It's bonkers. Yeah. That's all I know.
Oh, right. It's bonkers? Well, that's good. That's going to play well for Pinball because Pinball is generally bonkers.
Right. So I'll start with A-Force. A-Force is designed by Thomas Crofts. He's the guy responsible for Aliens and Super League and Droids, and I am happy to report it's a very bouncy ball.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
Yes, very bouncy ball. I was as soon as the ball dropped on a dead flipper and it bounced heartily over to the next flipper, I was like, yes, this is what I like to see.
Awesome. That's great.
So
good
very
news.
lightly. You'll also be glad to know that, and this is the case for both tables, neither one of them is Spellorama.
Good. Excellent. Thank God for that.
So instead, it's a lot of hitting your shots, the designed shots and comboing, essentially.
Okay, cool.
I was a little bit fearful, though, because A4 starts off with kind of a prologue, and these are very story-based tables.
Right.
So it starts off with a prologue to give you an idea of what you're in for. And then one of the first lines of dialogue coming out of Madame Mask right off the top. In the name of Hydra! And I just kind of went, oh, God. It's just... I mean, I don't... It may work in comic book form, but whenever Thor does any of his by Odin's hammer, I just kind of go, come on.
I'll give you Odin's hammer in a minute, mate.
Yeah, it's just really, really is kind of annoying. Thankfully, that's about the only annoying voice thing that came in A-Force. Although the voice is one of the voices I kind of went, weren't you in Alien versus Predator?
Oh, really? What, in the AVP voice? Oh, yes.
Yeah, the female voice. It's like, job. I've heard that voice before.
Good job.
Anyway, so much like the Aliens table, and I already know that I'm going to like this table more than the other one just because of how it's designed. And that is one of the things that, starting the modes, you basically have to hit the A-Force tower about 3 times, which is typical for any of these mode starts now that Zen has been using. But you can hit it 2 different ways. There's 2 different ramps that you can hit it with. So that's nice that you have that option that's not limited to that one shot. Once you do that, then you can start a mode, and just like the Aliens table, you can pick whatever mode you want. And there's 5 or 6 that you can choose from. And you don't have to complete the mode in order to have it light.
Okay.
Collect all those modes, then you start the wizard mode. Now, once you have started the wizard mode or gone through the wizard mode, thereafter, you do have to complete all the missions. And I can tell you right now, that's going to be a pain in the butt because I was not able to complete a single one.
Oh, so you've actually got to complete, as in finish completely.
Finish the mode, yeah.
So they'll give it to you the first time round, but the second time round they expect you, hey, you got to actually finish these.
Yeah, and they're not 2-part missions or anything. They are straightforward, just you need to hit this shot, and they will time out on you eventually.
Okay. Well, it's as long as it's not like each mission is like an 8-stage mission, like some of the tables are. Like they're ridiculous.
No, and it's literally hit these 3 lanes, and you'll be finished or whatever. But they're tricky shots. It's tough, and there's sometimes activity happening on the table that winds up getting distracting. There's a helicopter that flies over the table and stuff, and kind of obscures your view of the ball. One mode that was particularly interesting had and this might have been the finale, the wizard mode, but it zaps the balls completely into these little pink balls that float around, but you can't use your lower flippers at all. And there's 2 upper flippers and 2 lower flippers. Your lower flippers no longer work. And so the 2 superheroes come down to the base of the table, and they use their wrist lasers or whatever, and are zapping your balls. So it felt a lot like the power in Twilight Zone.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of cool. You don't get to hold the flipper up, and have a constant stream and catch the ball. It's literally the ball reaches a certain zone, and that's when you're flipping. And so aiming is a bear.
That'd just be like random acts.
And I think it was like a 4 or 5 ball multi-ball.
Oh, good. Try playing. I mean, it's probably not like this on Zen because they're actually not dealing with real physics. But remember how hard it was in Twilight Zone to actually control more than 1 ball up in the power zone. Like, if
I don't know if I've ever had more than 1 ball up in the power zone.
Oh yeah, I've shot a couple up there, and it's just like the magnets just can't keep up with the amount of balls that they've got to actually launch up there. It's very hard to do anything. You drain faster than you actually do anything up there. But of course, then not having to worry about real world physics from that perspective can actually do better with 6-ball multi-balls and stuff.
It's also got a pretty cool skill shot in that it's not just launch the ball and have it land into a lane. If you do get it to land in the lane, then that gets you into it having to hit one upper flipper shot to a ramp, which leads to the other upper flipper, and you've got to hit the ramp with that. So it becomes a combo to get the super mega skill shot.
Oh, cool! That's awesome.
Which I always like those. I think those are a lot of fun.
The thing that I'm having a lot of trouble with at the moment in Masters of the Force, the two sides table in Star Wars is getting that skill shot dialed in right. It's really hard for me to get that.
Yeah. I think I gave up.
Yeah, it's like I've been able to get a couple of times. Go, okay, cool. I have to remember that exact pixel position on the plunger in that view.
Because that's just it. It's literally
there's no scale.
No,
like there's actually no indication of scale. Like a lot of the tables have like a little gauge that you can go, okay, well if I get it up to that point, I know that it's going to drop into that lane. But this one's just like pull it back and launch it. So
anyway, A-Force is much more of think of Avengers or Iron Man. It's more your serious Marvel table.
Okay.
Kind of straightforward. The sound effects are all pretty much what you would expect on a normal pinball machine, that kind of thing. Now, Champions is designed by our buddy Zoltan Very.
Oh, sorry, Zoltan.
Who we kind of maybe railed against recently.
Yeah.
Now, it's not so much the dead ball.
Okay.
There is a little more bounce, so that was nice. The layout, it kind of follows some of those early 80s ballets where it's got that weird outlane with the curvature outlane that feeds back to the flippers, whereas it's got the straight down. So the inlane is on the outside and the outlane is on the inside. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. So it has, right. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So it's got that. But it's also got a bazillion habit trails that are very difficult in my short gameplay time to figure out where the hell the ball is going to come from.
All right. So it's like it's a maze of habit rails.
It's a maze of habit trails. Again, no spellorama, so that's good.
That's good.
But this one is exceedingly cartoony.
Right. So it's cel-shaded graphics everywhere in it.
Well, no, I don't. Well, both of them have a cel-shaded look to them.
Yeah.
No, when I say exceedingly cartoony, I mean it starts from the storyline, which is basically that Ms. Marvel has opened up a coffee shop and has just finished her first day of business and is taking the lockbox to the bank when is it Bombshell? I think it's Bombshell comes out of the bank having just robbed it, and the force of her blast sends Ms. Marvel to the ground, and she drops her lockbox, and Ms. Bombshell goes, "Oh, look, a bonus!" picks it up and runs away, and then Ms. Marvel goes, "Our first day's pay. If we don't get that back, the shop will close."
Oh, no.
I'm like going, what? Was this written for 12-year-olds? I mean, is Marvel or is Zen going to do a My Little Pony table next?
I was going to say, that sounds very My Little Pony-esque, eh?
I know. Heretic love a My Little Pony table.
Oh, yeah? Are you being facetious or actual real?
There was one time where I challenged him to let me pick his avatar, and he had to live with that avatar for a couple of days. And I found a My Little Pony, and he had to have that as his avatar, and he's hated me for that, but at the same time, he kind of grew fond of it too. So
he made him a closet brony.
Brony, yeah. Anyway, but it doesn't stop there with just the storyline kind of being very, I don't know, very youth oriented. It in a lot of ways reminded me of Missplosion Man, where it's just that kind of. It's definitely not masculine. And I do worry that the backlash that Zen is going to get from that. I don't mind them making that choice because there's no reason why girls can't have a table that they thoroughly enjoy too. It just seems very youth. That's kind of my takeaway. It's very youth. But the sound effects in it are very cartoony. Think Gilligan's Island cartoony sound, with that pinball table. I mean, there have been pinball tables, real machines that have just the, it's the straight up Scooby-Doo, feet running noises.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So it's a little odd hearing. Like most Zoltan tables, it seems like you have no clue what the hell is going on. There is dialogue and sound effects happening every which way, and figuring out who's talking, what's going on is a mission of futility.
Right, okay.
Now,
so it's definitely going to have a look at the rule sheet for that one.
To have a look at the rule sheet. The missions, I still don't know how you start the missions per se, but basically you're collecting other various superheroes that are going to help you, and based off of which one you've lit up, then this little it looked like a Quidditch hoop pops up and kind of travels, and you got to shoot the ball into the Quidditch hoop, and then it drops down, and then you shoot it into there one more time, and this is what winds up teleporting Bombshell back to the playfield.
Okay.
And then based on who you have lit up, it changes what you have to do on the table. So, like, if you've lit up... I'm going to blank on it. America Chavez. You need to shoot the ball into the pop bumpers, because as those goes off, that's going to make Bombshell lose her balance and fall actually onto the table. At which point, then you can shoot the ball at her to injure her.
Okay.
As opposed to if you have Spider-Gwen, then you need to shoot a certain saucer, in which case that'll shoot spiderwebs and trap Bombshell, and then you have to do something else. So it winds up being different areas of the table that you have to shoot. So that's really cool. I like that it's not always the same shot. What I don't like is welcome back to the return of the tight shot.
Oh, everything is super squeezy.
Well, the pop bumpers are all the way to the right side of the table. So it'd be one of those flip it off the tip of your flipper to get to go to the far right orbit, let's say, right?
Okay.
But what seems like the natural place for launching the ball sends it into the slingshot instead. And so I'm still trying to figure out where on the flipper it is that you're supposed to flip, and
where's the sweet spot.
Right, and it seems like it would be such an easy shot to make. But I was having a bear of a time getting it there on command. So that's kind of falls into the negative aspect, but it's definitely not Masters of the Force. It's not that narrow. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
So of the two, I can definitely say that so far I'm enjoying A-Force much more than Champions. But hey, you know what? When you buy one, you get both. So.
Right. Okay. Sweet. Well, look. So it's actually
you don't get a choice.
Oh right.
Yeah,
so
it's
the pack is
pack.
like $5 or $6 probably down here in Australia.
It's probably gonna be $5.
Okay, that's all right. Jeez,
I imagine. Yeah,
that's like cost of one bacon and egg sandwich for me for breakfast one morning. So whatever, that's easy.
Yeah. So I definitely I'm not giving it the rousing endorsement that I gave the Aliens tables, but for the sheer fact that we get a bouncy ball pinball table again, and the other one is semi-bouncy ball, that makes me happy. And add on top of the fact that it's not Spellarama.
It's great. That's good news.
That's good news. So
yeah, for sure. Well, that sounds really good. I can't wait for them to release later this month. I'll get on
it's later this week. It's this coming week. Yeah,
that's right, because we're in 25th. Yeah, at the moment. On today's, in the future, we're on the 25th of September. So, that's pretty cool, eh? It'll be 29th, I think, they release US time. So it'll be 30th.
Right.
We get it here. So that'll be very cool. Very cool.
That it will be. In other news, TV season has started for us.
Oh, is it? Ooh, okay.
And I've sampled 2 shows, neither of which has impressed me. So I'm off to a depressing start.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about how many series of TV that I would need to catch up on since, having kids probably, or, I'm 5 years behind, basically, in anything decent on television.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I last night I actually tried watching there's a new Lethal Weapon TV show,
oh,
which
really?
I was dreading to begin with because I love the Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah.
The second one I have such fond memories of, and has one of the single best stunt setups that I can recall. I mean, I just love this one particular setup in the movie. Briefly, for any of you, those that have seen the movie way back in 90 or 89.
Yeah.
It's when they're driving up to the Stilt House, and there's a tow truck driving up the road, and he's got a car on the back of the lift gate, and there's a guy with a surfboard on the back of his pickup truck driving down the road, and a car chase is happening, and through a series of events, the tailgate of the ramp of the tow truck gets dropped down so that one car jams into the back of that, sending the car that was on the tow truck flying over the top of the tow truck, which lands on the road and goes head-on collision with the guy who has a surfboard on top of his car, sending the surfboard flying forward and decapitating a dude, the bad guy, in the car.
Hoorah! What a great
show.
Shot.
It's a total Rube Goldberg setup, and the thing is they set up the geography of this a full 30 seconds in advance. So by the time the action actually happens, you know exactly what's going to happen, and you're just sitting in your seat going, ooh, and then it actually does happen. This is opposed to watching any of the Bourne movies, well, not the first one, but the following ones, where you have no clue what is actually happening because, as I like to call it, you don't get to see the action, you get to see the aftermath of the action. Because it's all, hey, I heard a noise. Well, let's look over there and see what that noise was. Oh, hey, look, a car just exploded. Too bad I didn't get to see what made it explode. You know, and exactly. To me, that takes away the tension and the joy of those sequences. I want to see the setup. I want to get that giddy sense of anticipation and know what's happening and going to transpire. So anyway, I'm off the point, as I like to do. The Lethal Weapon TV show, I was just really kind of going, there's no way they were going to be able to do this justice on TV. And they were kind of cribbing from the movie, which again, I'm like, come on, just do your own thing. I don't know. And I'm not buying the Murtaugh and Riggs that they cast, although they cast Damon Wayans as Roger Murtaugh, the Danny Glover part. So that's not bad. Mick G, who did the Charlie's Angels movies, he directed the pilot, and I fell asleep halfway through it.
Right. Okay.
So
was that just purely because you were knackered after your week of?
I was a bit knackered, but for an action show, that's pretty sad. I mean, to me, it just felt like they were, clicking off check marks of, okay, we hit that bit that's in the movie, we hit that bit that's in the movie, without having earned any of it. And then I realized, I was like, so they had TV shows are 44 minutes long. They had 44 minutes. A Lethal Weapon movie, it was only an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
So why is it that the Lethal Weapon movie was able to have so much better chemistry and make you care about the characters, where the TV show, don't care.
Yeah. Maybe because they had a lot longer to perfect the script.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I was just kind of like, And then I started watching American Horror Story this season. I watched the first episode of that, and they're doing reality docu-horror. Ugh.
So obviously you weren't involved in this particular.
No, I wasn't involved in this season of it, so it was a mystery to me what was gonna happen.
Right.
And as with, I'm good and full well that American Horror Story, at about the 4th or 5th episode, they completely changed the script, and usually that's because they don't know what they were writing to begin with, and they've run out of ideas and switched them. So
did they Dexter it?
Yeah. So there's still the potential for it to get better, but I hate docu-horror, so that was a bummer to see that. I saw.
This is well and truly behind. I'm sure that this has been out for like years now in the US, but we are seeing for the first time here in Australia on free-to-air Scream Queens.
Yeah, I didn't make it through the pilot of that one.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. It's intriguing. It's sort of like looking at the sun. you know you shouldn't do it, but you still do it anyhow. I don't know.
It's too
it
over the
reminds me a
top
bit
for
of
me.
Glee. It's a little bit like Glee,
Well, it's
but
the same
horror.
creators.
Oh, really? Oh, that would stand to reason then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Glee horror.
Yeah. Yep. I'm vague. I don't know how this is going to go, but I recorded it last night. There's also a new Exorcist TV show.
Oh, geez, what are they doing? Rebooting all these '80s franchises.
Interestingly enough, it's getting good reviews. So
okay.
I'm going to be very curious to see if it's any good or not. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's like Hannibal, and I love Hannibal, where I thought that just surpassed the movies. So,
there you go. That's pretty good if they can do that.
We'll see if it pays off. Again, not holding out too much hope, but
give it a go, see what you think, and if it impresses you, keep watching it. That's usually what you do.
Exactly. And I'm not going to go into it here because it makes my mind hurt. But me and Heretic get into weekly discussions about Mr. Robot, which just had its finale, and mind.
That's one series that I've heard so many good things about, and I think I just really need to find myself a internet backup of that movie and start that series and just start watching it on the train. Each day.
That's the thing. I don't know. It's make sure you have your headphones on and make sure that you are able to pay rapt attention to it, because if you aren't paying attention to it, you're going to go, huh? What just happened? It throws so many things at you, and it throws Easter eggs at you, and it's a lot of visual. It's not just what the words are coming out of the person's mouth. So you can't be doing one thing and watching it at the same time. You got to concentrate full on it. But it's one of those that it's also one of those shows that after you watch a season, you need to go rewatch the season, because now you have a whole new batch of information that applies to all of it. And now, having watched the first or the second season, I feel like I need to go rewatch both the first and second season, because it's again folding in on itself.
Jeez, that's very good writing in that case.
Yes. So if you want to spout off about that, why don't you hit us up on our website? Send me an email at BlahCade.com. No, excuse me. Edit that out, Jared. Our email address is BlahCade@gmail.com. And you can hit me up with your theories or what you like about it, and get a discussion going on that way.
And
you can also,
I might even look at it because sometimes I look at the BlahCade account, but not a lot.
Also, you can find us on Twitter at Shut Your Traps, at Jared Morgs, or the all-important at BlahCade. If you would like to download past seasons, I can say seasons. We don't have seasons, do we, Jared?
We could. Well, technically we do. We sort of like try and align things to BlahCade table pack releases, so technically we do have seasons.
If you want to listen to past sessions of the BlahCade, why don't you go to our website, BlahCadePinball.com, where they are all there, along with timing notes letting you know what the heck is going on with each episode. Somebody just had tweeted at me that they loved a particular podcast we just done, and they were bummed that we weren't doing it this last week, because then what are they going to listen to? And I said, well, if you want some really sad comedy, go ahead and listen to our first podcast.
Oh, yeah, they were rough.
To which the person responded, I already did that. And I was like, and you're still listening? Wow.
You are a trooper. I think what we're going to call our episodes, we're going to call them DLCs. So we have DLCs for the season. That's what we're going to call them.
Although
I like that idea.
Maybe I should task you with an exercise, Jared, and that is to have you go back through, say, the first 10 podcasts that we did, and create a best of podcast out of those.
Oh God!
And then we could save that up for one of those weeks that we take off. Yeah. And we could drop that little nugget, and it would be really fun, because then you could take the very best bits, which there aren't many.
No. It took me like 20 hours in post-production with the length of those, how long those run. Jeez.
Yeah, but you can skirt through them pretty quickly, right? That's what two times listening is for.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. Maybe I'll do that and send you the notes. Anyway, those are options that you can take upon yourself to do. Anything else? Should we mention the T-shirts? We have T-shirts. Should we mention
T-shirts?
Should we mention that you can go to Loot Crate? Sure. Why not? Yep. Try lootcrate.com. I believe I'm getting the address right.
/BlahCade. Use Bridge 10 as the code, and we get like $10 or $11 each time you subscribe, so it helps us out.
Absolutely. And you get cool junk, and they update the stuff every single month. And if you follow it on Twitter, you'll get to see some of the stuff. They just did one that was all Firefly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's a good thing to look into. That's our show for this week, folks. Until next time, when hopefully we'll have gotten to play the non-beta version of Doctor Who, the actual real thing. And maybe by then, Jared will have put in actual time on the Zen tables. And we can go and dive in a little bit more into those.
Hey, do you want to put out the challenge that Sven set us for a bit of Avengers BlahZen action this time around?
Is that what he tweeted at me about?
Yeah. Yep.
So what tables does that accompany? Just any of the Avengers?
It's just he's just playing Avengers at the moment.
He said he was doing, and he beat mine and your Ant-Man score, and he's part of the Avengers. So does that mean Hulk and Iron Man and Thor? I don't know. Sven, I see that you're in our comments section. Nah, he's just saying it's the Avengers table. Okay, so
Avengers.
Okay, so there's an Avengers challenge. If you play, post your score on Twitter and hashtag it. What are we doing? BlahZen. That's right. BlahZen.
Because it's a BlahZen plug for BlahCade and Zen Pinball.
And you see? Sven's posting right now. He has 282 million on the Avengers table right now. So have fun, folks.
Yeah, that's going to be something I won't be achieving for a while, but I'll see how I go. I've actually got some from followers on Google+. I put a post on there on Google+ saying that I'm doing some score chasing on Zen. And
cool.
I've got a couple of extra people following now on Google Play Games, so that's been good.
I will say that if you want to skunk my scores now is the time, because I have no time to play and I have no time to respond. So skunk my scores now, and then when I'm got some free time, then I'll be able to devote to crushing you all.
I will crush you.
I will break you like the little girly man you are.
Yep.
All right. Until next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.